So your husband is broke. Can you be a housewife? It really depends on the level of brokenness he is at. Okay? Because we know that most men in the United States, I'm not talking about other countries, I don't know, they make a 5-figure income. Okay? That is the majority. So where in that 5 income bracket is he really in? If he's below 50,000, it is going to be difficult to be a housewife, but it's not impossible. If he's in that range, he has to be making some kind of money. So if he's at the 0, yeah, girl, you're screwed. He's going to have a job or business or something, because someone has to be bringing some type of monetary, some type of income into the household. So I'm not talking about the $0, because girl, I don't even know. Like, if he's on unemployment, did he just get fired? Did he just get let go? Is he laid off? If he's been laid off and got a severance package, their money should still be coming in. If he got fired, he can get unemployment benefits. So there are ways for you to get money in and still be a housewife. Did he save up some money while he was working? So for that situation, that's how you have to work that out. But for people who are actually, their husbands are working, but they feel like, I don't know, maybe he's a bus driver, maybe he's a forklift driver or something, and you've already married him, you committed to him, you're married to him, you want to be a housewife, you don't want to work full-time, you don't want to work part-time, but you're paying half the bills, or you have to pay a certain amount of bills because he can't afford it for both of you guys. This is my suggestion, okay? My suggestion is, there's a couple things. He can try to get a second job. Now, your man. Some men are like, hell no, I'm not getting a second job. So, maybe he's just not the provider type. Unfortunately, you married somebody that's not the provider type, and that's unfortunate. But hey, it's a shot. If you figure out a way to like talk to him, be like, maybe you should get a second job. Maybe, I'm really tired. I don't really want to work anymore. You know what I mean? He'll know, okay, she doesn't really want to, pay half the mortgage or half the rent anymore. She doesn't want to pay the bills, whatever. He might get mad, and he's also going to be used to the fact that you were paying half the bills or whatever. But that's one suggestion, okay? The other suggestion is get out of the housing situation that you're in. So this is for people who are making less than 50,000. Your husband can't support all the bills that you guys have. This is when you need to downsize. If he's not willing to get a second job to like support all of the bills, then you need to downsize. So you either pick he works more or you downsize. That's the only options you have. And if you are really committed to being a housewife and you're like, look, I am not, like if you are like 10 toe, they call it 10 toes down, being like, I am not going to work, these are the only options you got. If you want to stay in that marriage, this is the only options you have, okay? Obviously, there's other options that other YouTubers talk about. I'm not talking about those other options. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Wink, wink. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about those options. I'm talking about the women. You want to stay with your husband. You're not trying to get other people involved, okay? This is what I'm talking about. So you need to downsize. Downsize, and you know what that means? You're going to have to start cutting. You're going to have to start cutting expenses. And you might be pinching pennies. But unfortunately, this is the consequence for marrying someone who makes less than $50,000. I'm just being honest. In this day and age, in 2024, and even if you watch this past 2024, it's going to get worse. Like as far as like the cost of living is going to get worse for people who don't make a lot of money because it's going to continue to rise. If you're living in an apartment, your apartment's most likely either going to go up or stay the same rate. It rarely goes down. I've had my rent go down one time in my life, but that's because I gave them evidence. We did some research, got some evidence saying, hey, I can get a similar place for less than what you about to, do the lease for. So that's possible, but that's not common, okay? You're going to have to cut down those expenses. So, and you're not going to be, the so-called rich stay-at-home or the trophy wife where you can go on vacation and stuff. Your husband can't afford it. He can't afford it. And if he's under age of 30 and he's under 50,000, in some ways you kind of have to cut him a break because he's young. You know what I mean? it's going to take time. He might not make, if he did not go to college and get like an engineer, lawyer, doctor, like a high earning, hard skilled job in the beginning, electrician, a plumber, these different jobs, either hard skills like a trade or going to school to learn these hard skills that are non-manual, you're going to have to, if you're going to stay, you're going to have to deal with it. Or you're going to have to work full-time, part-time, and you ain't really like the housewife that you want to be, where you don't have to worry about going out to work. Okay, so I think I said enough from the 0 to 50,000. If you have questions and you maybe have suggestions for other women out there, put in the comment section below. But from 0 to 50,000, those are your options, really, you know. Or move to another city. You can move to another city or another town. But again, it depends how stubborn your husband is. It depends on how he is, because he might be like, well, I have a good job. I don't know why I said it like that. He might be like, I have a good job and blah, blah, blah. I'm not, you know, moving. I'm not doing it. He might be stubborn. So you might be like, look, I'm not working no more. So we're going to have to cut some of these, I don't know, the expenses. If you got 2 cars and you both have to go to work, you might have to have 1 car. You're going to have to like start cutting it down so you can live off of his income only. And it's going to suck. I'm going to be real with you. It's going to suck because you just don't have that money coming in. And if he's not willing to make more, or he's in the middle, you know, he's under age of 30, you know, unless he's an ambitious man, I don't know. Okay, so for people that are that's above, so between 50 and 100, right? You got a little bit more wiggle room depending on where you are in that bracket between the 50 and, because if you're on the edge where you're like 55, 50, 60, it still might be a little bit of a challenge. But if you're more at the 75, 80, 85, and it keeps going up, you have more income, right? You have more wiggle room, and you could definitely be a housewife. I feel like if your husband makes more over like 50, 60,000, you can be a housewife, okay? Especially if you don't have children. If you don't have kids, you could be a housewife. Like, you just have to make sure you're living in a city that's comparable to how much you make and the kind of lifestyle that you want. It varies a lot per woman. Some women like to get massages, like to get facials, like to get their nails done. These things add up. And if you're in a more expensive or highly populated city, the prices are higher. So you may have to consider moving depending on the situation, because a manicure that's like, I don't know, $40 in one area might be $25 in another area of the country. Prices do vary based on where you live. So you may have to consider moving if your husband's willing to do that, you know? But you don't have to think as much about finances. You still kind of have to, but you might be able to afford some vacations. You may be able to afford to buy the organic fruit. Organic fruit's expensive. Y'all know it could be $8, $6. It can be expensive. Maybe you don't always want to shop at like the cheap grocery store. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to get a little bit of fancy, I don't know. I'm thinking of like coconut aminos. I don't know how much coconut aminos are. I haven't bought it in a while. But and when you're in that price range, 50 to 100,000, you can definitely be a housewife. It just varies on what your lifestyle is going to look like. And my suggestion is, if you want to have more disposable income, you might have to move. You know what I mean? You might have to downsize or move. That's still going to be, you know, a possibility. And if you have children, oh girl, you gonna be pinching pennies still. If you're between 50 and 100,000, you're still gonna be pinching pennies because kids are pricey, right? And you want the best for your kids, I would assume. And you don't want to live in like the worst neighborhoods in the area, right? Because you want the best for your kids. You want kids to have good education. Just saying. Okay, so if you're above the 100K, if you're above 100K, your husband's above average when it comes to income. So like above average, like I don't know I don't want to say the exact number, but it's a pretty small percentage, okay? We'll just say less than 50% for sure, okay? If he's making like over 100K, like 100 to 125K, you're good. Especially if you're like, if it's just you and him, you probably don't have to worry as much. You probably don't have to worry as much. And if he's financially responsible and he knows things about like, investing, and he's more ambitious about getting promotions, and he maybe changes his job every few years so he can get promoted and make more money. You gotta know the person you're married to, right? If he's making between 100 and 125,000, he's probably doing pretty okay. And it's just the two of y'all. It's really easy. If you have the two of y'all and one kid, it still may be okay. Now I feel like if you're going above like 2 kids, it might be a little bit of a struggle. This is from obviously my opinion. Some people be like, look, my husband makes 45K and we got 4 kids. Yeah, honey, and I bet you are not going to the salon. You're not doing all the, you're not going to the spa. You're not getting a, facial. You're not going on vacations. And if you go on vacation, you go into the next city over. You're not flying places, not with all those damn kids and not how much it costs. So I'm not trying, I just went off. But I'm just saying, because we know those people, they be like, well, I'm a stay-at-home wife and I make 40, my husband makes 45,000. We have 4 kids. Yeah, depends on what kind of lifestyle you want. You are very, very low maintenance. If your husband makes 45,000 and you have 4 kids, you're probably low maintenance because you don't have a choice but to be. And there's nothing wrong with being low or high maintenance, but I'm just being real. A lot of women, we like to be pampered. We like to be able to spend money and not think about it too hard. And we like to pamper ourselves and do girly things. But if your husband doesn't make a lot of money and you have a lot of kids, girl, you have to be low maintenance. You don't have a choice. Okay? All right, sorry. I digress from that. But yeah, I just went off. I'm sorry. It just came out in my head. Because I know people. You know how people are. Okay, so from 100 to 125,000, you're probably okay. I would say if your man is at 150K and above, girl, why are you even watching this video? Like, you good. Like, you could definitely be a housewife. Like, not saying people have to be, they don't have to be millionaires. They don't have to be even like make $500,000 a year or whatever. But if your husband makes 150K or more, you good. You could have yourself and like 2 kids. Like, I mean, you might have more if you want to have more. But if it's a family of 4, 150K, you're probably good. And he's probably somewhat maybe financially intelligent, or he knows some things where he might maybe, hopefully, with that kind of income, hopefully. So he might be like, yeah, maybe we want to live in a different city so we can spend even more money and I can invest more and I can save for my retirement and I can save for my kids' college and things like that, right? But you know your husband, you know your man, you know how he is. But that's just be real, like there are different levels of being a housewife as far as the income your husband brings in. You want to live within his income. So be mindful of that. And I hope for women who maybe not have kids yet, if you are married, be aware of that income, okay? Know your ambition level of your man, of your husband, because when you add an additional person to your family size, that's less money. For you, that's less money for that child. So it's not being selfish to be like, well, maybe I don't want to have more kids because I know if I have more kids, it's going to affect our income, right? Because not more money is coming in. I don't think that's selfish. I think that's selfless. You're really thinking about your offspring and what kind of life they're going to be able to live. So that's what I would suggest. But again, we know there are people who live, they like pinching their crusty pennies. I'm sorry. but they pinching their crusty pennies, right? And they want to be all like, well, my husband is a forklift driver and I got 3 or 4 kids and we make, he makes 35,000 and I'm sitting at home. Yeah, we know. But what else are you able to do? You can't afford to do really much other than you probably shopping at the cheapest grocery store with your kids. I'm not saying it's wrong, but again, like, that's not nothing to brag about. I'm not trying to be funny. If your husband makes less than 50,000 and you have a bunch of kids, that's nothing to brag about. It's great that he's supporting you and your kids, but at the end of the day, you can't get any of your like self-care things done. You have to constantly look at prices all the time. It's tiring to constantly be like, well, damn, I can't go and get a facial. The facial's $50 and I have to pick between getting a facial or getting a new shirt. Who wants to deal with that? I'm just being honest. Like, no one wants to have to pick between buying a new shirt and going and getting a freaking facial, okay? And I'm also gonna say it here, these are some ways you can pinch pennies, and there's nothing wrong also with pinching pennies sometimes too. If you want, let's say hey, I'm trying to save some money, or hey, my husband he ain't working it, okay? He ain't working it with getting that money. I want to go to get my hair done. Go to a hair school. Hair schools are cheaper. I'm being serious. There's hair schools all over the country. Go to a hair school. It is significantly cheaper than going to a higher end salon or going to a salon. The price, because I've been to hair schools to get my hair done and different things, right? And you can get your hair done and it's fine. It looks nice because they have someone supervising the students. You can get manicures, pedicures, facials, all that spa stuff. For the most part, you can get at a hair school because they have to, excuse me, at a beauty school because they have to train people. So that is one way to pinch your pennies, honey. For holidays, make sure you ask it for gift cards to things to get pampered or gift cards to get clothes. For us ladies that are like husbands are a forklift driver or a bus driver and they make less than 50,000. You got all these kids. This is the way that you can try to help with your maintenance, because when I mean by us, I don't mean me. My husband is an engineer and I don't have kids. Yeah, you could do a lot of DIY. Yeah, sure, you can go get the cheap press on nails at at those kind of stores, or whatever, you could do that. But honey, just try to go to a beauty school and get your services done. Go and look up different discounts. Go to Groupon. You're gonna have to really do a lot of research to try to save some money, okay? It's upsetting to me personally and it sucks, but that's where you're at. It is personally upsetting to me to see women struggle like this. But I wouldn't be bragging, okay? I wouldn't be bragging. And don't be hating on the women that made better choices, okay? And some men might be, if they hear this, they might be triggered like, well, there's something wrong with being a bus driver. There's nothing wrong before. I didn't say nothing wrong with your job, but to me, it's irresponsible to have all those kids and you know that your job don't make a lot and you could barely support yourself and your wife. So, you know what? I think I'm done because I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, this is bull. Anyway, y'all, I really do hope this video helps you. You could be a housewife at almost any level, okay? Like, shoot, you could be a homeless housewife. You don't got no home. But you ain't got no money, you on the street. I mean, you're a housewife without a home. You know what I'm saying? So you can be in all these ranges. But your lifestyle is going to be impacted, okay? So it's important to understand that. It's going to be impacted. So your lifestyle is going to be impacted by your husband's income and the number of kids you have. Even pets. If you want to add pets, because pets are a cost too. So just make choices. If you haven't made those choices, choose wisely. If you've already made those choices, do the best you can with the cards you've been dealt. Okay? So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.